It's March already in 2020 and it's time for donations and deliveries. Now we're starting this at around about the 17th of March because literally nothing has showed up. Blame coronavirus or economic downturn, stock market crash, whatever you want. Stuff hasn't been coming in, and to be honest, I've been very busy. I've had another flare up of multiple sclerosis and I now have some permanent vision loss in one eye. So and a few other things like walking is now a problem, and I've been filling out lots and lots of forms, but you'll see the outcome of that hopefully later in this video. But let's get this delivery open and see what we have. I think I know what this is for because I haven't ordered much this month. Let's see what we've got. Okay, we've got packed in a box like this, but we kind of knew that. This I'm pretty sure I know what it will be, and it's not electronic, shockingly enough, but something I ordered way back in Christmas. I ordered this horse for my wife, and she wasn't quite happy with the inlays in it, so I've been sent some fluorite samples to slice up and replace some of those pieces with, so this will be interesting. Alright, so here we have our assortment of fluorite and a piece of rose quartz for free. I think it's rose quartz. These should look good once they're sliced and polished into little diamond shapes, as in two-dimensional diamond shapes. If I do this project, you'll see that later on, but I might have to go see my neighbour who's got a rock saw and see if we can get some good slices out of these. But yeah, hopefully there'll be some electronic stuff shows up, or maybe something better. We'll find out, depending on how many more forms I have to fill in. Anyway, we'll be back with the next one. Alright, these ones are kind of heavy. Let's start with the first thing. Have ourselves a new PowerTech MPPT solar charge controller. I'm upgrading my solar system, and we'll do a whole video on that at some stage. But let's open the box up and see what this is. This is a delivery. Oh wow, okay. This is huge by comparison to my old one. I don't even know if I'll have room in the battery bay for this. But at the moment, I'll explain why I'm doing some of this. Because I've got multiple sclerosis, I was able to make a total and permanent disablement claim. In fact, I've been able to make 2 of them. Oh, that wasn't coronavirus, guys. Now, I took a big chunk of that out because a lot of the local businesses are struggling because they've had to force to close their doors, or patronage is just all around down. So I'm spending a big chunk of that payment, and I'm spending it with as many local businesses as I can. And that's reducing some stress off me and off them. And so this is from my local electronic barn store. And this is a serious piece of equipment. I just rang him up and said, look, I need 2 big batteries, which you'll see in a minute, a few other things, and I need a bomb-proof solar charge controller. And this is what he picked off the shelf for me. I threw my trust in him and his experience, and this is what he gave me. So I couldn't be happier. For comparison, I'm going to get my existing charge controller. Let's stand this up, because it does stand up. That's my new one. This is my old one. Now I get these for about $4 a piece out of China. They're supposedly 20 amp controllers, and you know, I burn out about 2 of these every summer because my 200 watts of solar panels apparently are too much for it. So I've usually got a few of these spare, but I decided if I'm going to spend a bit of money, I might as well spend a decent bit of money on a decent bit of hardware and get the local bloke to exercise his expertise. If you'd like to pause and read the card, there it is there. Now, what else do we have in the box with that? Alright, we have the obligatory manual, and we've got, oh, a battery. Oh, okay, it's got a separate connector for the battery. I'm not sure how that works. I'll have to read the manual. Unfortunately, what it neglected to include is connectors for these terminals. Oh no, they're screw-down terminals. Okay, and there's a door that covers them up there. Okay, I will investigate that in depth a little bit later tonight. What's next? Alright, now, this is a bit of a hint at what will be showing up. What's 27th now, so what will be showing up on probably the 30th or 31st. So this will be necessary for it, and I'm pretty sure you can all understand what a winch is. However, this was going on special, it's super cheap, for about 115 bucks. Now, I bought a fully remote control one of these out of China for about 80 bucks some time ago, but this seemed a little more substantial. The big winch plate, and we've got all our foam in here. Oh, this is actually considerably heavier than the other one. Sorry about that if you're wearing headphones. Alright, oh, and we've got some good battery cables too. We've got our winch here, we've got our fair lead there, and our remote control. I'm not going to pull this all out because I need to, oh, that's going to come out on its own. Okay. Let's put that back in there. Wow. Okay, this is certainly, for a 1,500 pound winch, it's certainly heavier than the 3,000 pound winch I had. We've got our nice little push button winch controller. That's a hefty winch controller. I don't know where I'm going to hide that. We'll come up with something anyway. But yeah, some very hefty lead on it. So I think it looks like this actually carries the full switching load of the winch in that. I might be able to get around that with a relay. But anyway, let's pack all this back in for now. Because we've got more to show off. Where's my foam going? Hey, foam. Dude. Having a bit of fun today. We'll pack all this in and we'll grab another thing. Right, so this one just magically showed up on the desk because I wasn't about to drop this on the desk like I normally do. This probably weighs about 30 kilos. It's a 12 amp hour, 135 amp hour deep cycle AGM battery. I have two of these that I'm going to run in parallel, and I've got a couple of links for these as well. These have been delivered today. I'll probably wrap one in red tape so that I don't get confused. So these will be replacing the single battery that I currently have. So, and they're connected to about 200 watts of solar panels, which feed a lot of all the extra gadgetry over the back here and other stuff throughout the house, including a couple of UPS units. So, I'm not going to pick up the second battery, I will break my desk. So, let's see if there's something else we've got. And this one's a biggie. Okay, this one always close to what the batteries did. Wonder if you can gather what this is from that picture. We're going to have to take a wide angle. Let's find a different camera angle. Right. Well, now this might not be a Yamaha or a GE or anything like that, but it's what I could afford. I probably could have afforded something better, but I wanted to afford more than just one thing. And so, for the limited amount of time we might be using such a generator like this, it didn't warrant spending $2.5 grand for. $2.5 grand pays for a lot of powered campsites. But as you probably guessed at this point, it's a petrol generator. It's an inverter generator. And there's not much information on these things as to how quiet they really are. And I'm going to have to put this on the floor and lift it onto the bench. It's still lighter than two of those deep cycle batteries, and my wife, of course, aka my financial manager, needs a Cpap machine. And the idea of getting 190 watts continuously for a good 8 hours could result in either two of those big batteries you just saw, which is getting close to 100 kilos of equipment, or 60 kilos of batteries, whereas this thing weighs, I think, about 15 or 19. I'm having some trouble getting it out of the box. Well, okay, let's get the accessory kit out first. So there's a grounding post, and there's a fuel bottle, or that might be oil can bottle. It's shaped a bit like an oil can. Let's see what else. Well, there's a handle on top, and there's foam. Let's see if the handle breaks off. No, but the handles on the boxes are getting in the way. We'll be back in a moment. Alright, made it onto the desk, albeit with a bit of sweat. And that looks interesting. I think that's just a shroud. Let's have a look here. We've got, I'm not going to do petrol sniffing, but it doesn't smell like it's ever been run. I read on the feedback about these that you need to fill them with oil as well as fuel, which probably means it hasn't ever been run in. So it could be in the manual there somewhere it tells me I'm going to have to run this for a few hours. It's definitely oily on the bottom. It smells like fuel oil or something. Let's tip this up. Ah, there's a bit of a leak around here. That's fresh engine oil. So maybe it's the spilt oil trying to fill it or something. It's all plastic housed, not something I'm fond of, but that seems to be the way things go these days. So what's this? This is our mains output. It's clearly 1100 watts, which I think when we read the information it'll probably tell us it's an 800 watt continuous. We've got an engine switch. Oh, eco mode. That might be quiet mode. We've got a 5 volt, 2 USB ports, 5 volts. I don't know what rating they'll be. Whatever this button is. DC overload. And we've got a 12 volt accessory socket, which I'm not short on with my equipment, but that might make good for battery charging. So I think it might be what's in here. Let's have a look. Got a little black pouch here. Right. And that looks like a screwdriver. This is probably the service kit. There's the handle off the screwdriver. Oh god, if that's... wow, that's ridiculous. Oh, and a tube spanner. Well, the tube spanner of the right size is probably handy. I'm guessing they expect us to do that with it. So, oh, they don't need to mingle. Oh, they do. Okay. Not sure what that would be useful for, but nifty little toolkit that can live with it. If I'm in a pinch and I've got to change a spark plug. So, which I might get a spare one of. Now, they were talking about grounding, which is a ground pin here. So that ground rod, I assume you're meant to hammer into the ground. Presumably so, if it's got an RCD in here, it works. So, got an output indicator, overload alarm, and low oil alarm. Ooh, low oil is handy. I must chew a bit of oil. Let's get some covers off this and have a look. Alright, we find ourselves around the right hand side here. Have a look in here. It's a tiny engine. Tiny Chinese engine. And I think that's our spark plug right up there. That could be our muffler. I'd like to test run this thing, but it's the middle of the night and I don't have the right engine oil for it yet. But it is a 4-stroke, so it could sound like a quiet lawnmower. Let's see what's on the other side. Okay, so around the left hand side here, we're looking at our choke. It's got the start position and then a little notch to hold it in the run position. That's not bad. There are a whole bunch of pictographs on the top, which I think are supposed to illustrate how to operate it. We have this big triangular tag here that says stop. This is important. So that clearly means I need to rip that off and throw that away without reading it. So it says fill up generator. Oh yeah, don't tip the generator to fill it. Probably because there's a bleeder in there, and I think this tells me this is like a finger dip oil thing. You can, it's a bit like the ones you dip your finger in to check, but there's a plastic finger attached to the cap. So, and there's clean air cleaner maintenance, all that sort of stuff. I'm not sure. Oh, so it's a cleanable air filter. That's nice. Okay. And wash in high flash point solvent. Well, that's extremely hard to find right now. Everybody's bought that off their shelves thinking they're going to help coronavirus. So they're going, oh, wait, is that a righty loosey, lefty tighty? That's weird. So, fuel cap. So, yeah, alright. It's that, the fuel cap's up the top. And what's this? This should be oil. Oh, that might be throttle. That is, that's not meant to come off. So we've got our pull cord on here. I'm not going to pull that right now. And we want to see what's behind this cover. I think that's the service panel. You probably hear my apprentice in the background. She's having some fun, so try to ignore that. I always do. Anyway, this is the oil filler cap by the looks in there, and owing to the rumours I saw on the Supercheap website, I've got to check if it's actually got oil in it. Or it looks like it's had oil in it, but it might not. Let's see if I can find a torch and shine that down there. Let's have a look. Oh no, there's a bit of oil in there. Not a huge amount, but I think this has been stored incorrectly, and that's why they ship without oil. So I will read the manual. It's clearly below the fill point, as was illustrated on the side here. So, and I'm noticing that the end of this is all oily is down under here, and then there's these two tubes down here. Let's shine a light in here again. There's those two vinyl pipes, and one of them looks oily. I think they're breather tubes for the oil chamber. So, yeah. Now I am looking for spark plug accessibility in here. So I think this is a single cylinder by the looks, and that looks like an ignition coil there. There's a little throttle body up here. And we've got lots of nice little rubber hoses and tubes and stuff all over here. So, a lot of stuff packed into a tiny space here. And that whole section up here, I think, is clearly fuel tank. Yeah, it feels like a fuel tank. Nice metal cylinder head up here. I don't know where the exhaust comes out of this. Maybe it comes out of this chamber here. I don't know. Yeah, well, it could work. But I need fuel and I need oil before I try this. And it specifically says don't use ethanol fuel. It's getting hard to find, but we'll find some. Anyway, let's wrap this one up. We've got more stuff to get through. We have some more donations and deliveries. Now I've got a couple of things that have been in quarantine for a couple of weeks. They got dropped on my doorstep anonymously, and I don't know who dropped them off, but one of them is this Game Boy Advance. I haven't stopped to see if it works yet, or even if it's got batteries in it. I don't even know how to turn these things on. I never played Game Boy. So there's a switch there. Doesn't look like there's any working batteries, but we'll try that out later. Another thing that has arrived is this, and this looks almost new, and when almost new stuff shows up on my doorstep anonymously, I get a little sus. So I might ask around and see if anybody owns this or where it came from. Somebody will know. Well, it seems to be functional. Okay, well, this could be handy. We'll find out. All right. Now, I originally thought this month was going to be a quiet month because of coronavirus and all that stuff, but it turns out it could end up being the biggest month ever, at least money-wise. And we'll go and show you some of the things that have showed up, but we've got one really big thing that I think is going to show up right on the 31st. So let's jump to a few more things that we've had show up just this afternoon, and then maybe in a couple of days we'll see something really big. Right, so it's now the 31st of the month, and we have a delivery coming today. It's not here yet, but it's one I have been waiting more than 20 years of my life for, and never ever thought I'd be able to get. So just to give you some backstory here, I've got multiple sclerosis, as I've probably mentioned many times since the diagnosis in these videos. And I got granted a total and permanent disablement insurance claim. And so what I've done with some of that is I've left it in my account to pay out a little stipend to help along my payments for the foreseeable future. And I took enough out to pay back all my loans and all my debts, and do a whole bunch of things like fix up my vehicles and pay back my folks for my wedding and everything like that. I've done all my dues to society in that regards. I've shared some around. I bought a mate some new tyres, sent some to family members that are in need, and been and bought some toilet paper for the neighbours and the elderly because of coronavirus stuff and the great toilet paper shortage of 2020. Anyway, what was left over from this,
I've managed to spend on something that I have really, really, really wanted ever since I saw them. And I've never, ever in my life been in a position to be able to buy something because I just want it. Everything else has had to have had a need, or it's been something that's had to be necessary. This is one thing that I got purely because I wanted, and I can't believe I'm in the position to be able to do it. And because my eyesight is starting to fail because of MS, as are my legs, I've decided I'm going to make this purchase now whilst I can still enjoy it. So without further ado, I'm going to cut to the delivery, which isn't here yet, but it will be when I cut this video. So I'll see you in a moment. Well, my apprentice has claimed first dibs on this. I got myself an 8x8 Argo Frontier. I have waited so long for this. Waited like 20 years or more. This thing's amphibious and it floats. And my apprentice has decided to figure out how to drive it. I have the keys in my pocket. Now this has the Vanguard engine in it, 650cc, 23 horsepower Vanguard, air cooled, and no bilge pump, but we'll be adding that.
Why do you dig covers so I can't see?
Can't see past the bonnet, I'm in trouble. So yes, this I'm going to have some fun with, and I'm going to wait to release this video until I've been able to take it for a drive on some private property somewhere. But yes, winch is definitely coming. Alright, so I took it for a spin in the backyard, and I didn't think it was going to mess up the grass based on what it did in the front yard. But yes, the common issues with skid steer is that it's not kind on the grass, especially in the softer backyard. But at this point, I think we can repair that. I'm not too sad about that. And my apprentice here is probably never going to leave it. She doesn't want to get out. That's her new home apparently. So apprentice, where are we going in this?
We're going
Where are we going to go with this?
to the jungle.
Going to go to the jungle in it, are we? Have to find some local jungle once the lockdown's over. But this has only got a couple of hours on the clock and about 5 kilometres.
5 kilometers?
So
Why is 5 kilometers?
it's only as far as it's gone. So we've got to give it 20 hours of run-in time before I can get it up to full throttle.
What?
So that means probably a lot of idle time
Oh.
sitting in the backyard. But the guys were kind enough to gave me half a tank of fuel with it.
I don't like it.
Yeah, it smells a bit like fuel. But I am so happy with this purchase.
I'm so happy to sit on the floor.
I've taken over the back now. All right. Yeah, what more can I say? This is going to be the biggest donations and deliveries ever, and probably the biggest one for a very long time. I can't really afford to repeat this.
Sit up here.
You can sit wherever you want. This is our fun car. All right.
I'm not falling off.
Okay. Now, one of the other features about this is there's a glove box under the seat. And the battery, it's a little motorcycle battery. It's hiding away under there. And they gave me a complimentary tin of chain lube, which is nice.
Which is got alcohol on.
And
And on the front.
yeah, we've looked under the bonnet.
It's on.
Got a nice snazzy chrome logo here. I think there are winch mounting points underneath that too, so I'll have to research how the winch mounts go on.
Stop.
We'll be engineering our own to put a custom winch on this.
Stop.
And we've discovered that the tray in the bottom moves.
Stop.
This is great excitement. Oh, and we've got a passenger already in the cup holder. So yeah, this will be good. I don't know what else I can say about this, but this is going to be an ongoing project. So
Project.
it will be.
How?
We're going to build bits for this and put it on here. Right.
It's not a building, but
Where?
I'm sorry.
We're probably going to get some rollover protection for this too. But
Don't use roll.
alright, I'm going to leave this video here. We're having some fun. We'll do another video just on this one day very soon.